Sometimes it seems like the state of Oregon wakes up every morning, looks over at California, and thinks, you know what, I could do a better job of ruining the country than that. The student government at the University of Oregon recently petitioned for the school to begin requiring that critical race theory be required training for graduation, and it sounds like they've got traction with it, actually. There are already courses by different names that teach a lot of this woke garbage on that particular campus, but these bright and flowering young students don't think it's enough for it to be on tap. They want to codify it into something more official. Now, if your reaction to that is the same as mine, your first response is likely something on the order of, well, they're not trying to cover it up anymore, because, of course, they're not. Bad ideology only plays slowly for the first few moves. If you doubt it, I'd like to invite you to read about such stellar moments in history as the Russian Revolution. All it really takes is getting past the gatekeepers in society. And when the gatekeepers are asleep on the job, as many of them are in this country, it doesn't take much effort to move into the next stage of the plan. And that next stage is full-blown acceptance for and mandating of said ideology. Now, meanwhile, those of us who disagree are left behind to weep tears into our beers about how the American social fabric is in tatters. And it is. The lamentable fact is that despite our best efforts, enough bad thinking has slipped through the cracks so as to become endemic to the American collective consciousness, or at least a broad swath of it. And perhaps I'm preaching largely to the converted here, but after all, how many of you really believed the mainstream media when they were falling all over themselves to tell you that critical race theory basically wasn't even real? Let alone a doctrine that was being pumped into every head the left could get a spigot into. It's just like, Antifa was an idea. Hey, did you buy their crocodile tears about how the white supremacist conservatives were desperately trying to whitewash history and education, consequences to the oppressed in this country be damned? No, of course you didn't. You've got to have a really special type of brain to buy into that kind of crap, but unfortunately there are a lot of those types of brains out there, especially among the younger members of our society. Now, these young people lacking a fully formed frontal lobe have been given such a vast amount of agency in modern times that they've started to buy into the BS. The towering intellectual structure that used to be the university system existed precisely because young people could not be expected to adequately educate themselves, and because someone had to be there to dole out the common sense when they inevitably came up with or were given terrible ideas. So what happened? Where did all the thinking adults go? The grown-ups are still there, but they've taken leave of their sacred duties in favor of what? Getting along better with the dumbass herd of kids they're supposed to be corralling, playing along with the system to avoid losing their tenure and having to get a job out in the real world. What is it, professors? What's keeping you from speaking up and actually educating these ignorant nincompoops about the dangers of things like critical race theory? Could it possibly be that you've abandoned reason altogether in favor of comfort and likes on Twitter? Nothing good is going to come out of this, folks. Not a single thing. It's a whole sack full of awful, and is apt to spill out as this generation grows into the adults who will shape the country's future. Now, we've been fighting it for a long time, but we can't give up the fight now. Our kids, both the little ones we're pulling out of public schools, and the grown ones we should be discouraging from attending this type of college, they need us to stand up for them. So don't give up. And don't get discouraged. We can win the war against this garbage. It's just going to take time and effort.